Hi everyone! My name is Kate. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm so excited you're joining me today. For this video, I hosted a poll over on my Instagram stories to decide what video to film next. The options to choose from were a coloring book collection or a whole video, and the coloring book collection won by about 70%, so that's what we will be doing today. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram if you'd like to join the vote next time. But now, let's jump into the coloring book collection. So, I only started coloring back in November, and currently I have 22 books in my collection, so quite a small collection compared to many others, but I feel like I have quite a good selection for now, both of different styles of books, different artists, and different topics to color as well. Currently, there are only 4 uncolored books in my collection, so I thought we would start with those, and it's these ones here. So in Romantic Country, the third tale, I actually currently have a work in progress that I'm working on for Mermaid, so it won't stay uncolored for a whole lot longer. I won't show you because it's a body color and I don't want to spoil the surprise, but Romantic Country, the third tale is my favorite of all the Romantic Country books. It's so beautiful. The next book is one of the newest books in my collection, which is why it's still untouched. It's Cozy Spaces by Rada Prince. I really love her new book that she has put out as well, but I think I prefer this one just because I really like all these cute characters that she has, all the cute people, which is why I chose to buy this one instead of her new book. I'm really excited to color a page from this book soon. Next up I have Alien Worlds by Kirby, and I think this one is uncolored just because I find it really intimidating to get started in it. There's so many beautiful pages again. I just, find it a little bit intimidating to get started. Hopefully it won't stay uncolored for a whole lot longer either. Then the final one of my uncolored books is this Elegant Beauties by Alyana Lasaeva. Her portraits are just beautiful, but I don't really like the printing in this book because, as you can tell, the pages are kind of printed a bit off-center, and all of the pages are like this, so yeah. I'm not a massive fan of the printing, but I am very excited to color one of her portraits. For the rest of my collection, I think we'll be going in some kind of approximate size order. So we'll start with this, the smallest book in my collection. It's Millie Marotta's Secrets of the Sea, but this is the pocket coloring version. I've colored some pages in this. The very first one that I colored was this one with the narwhals. I struggled to color in this book at first because I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to go about coloring like in her sendoodly style. But the more I color in it, the more I really like this book. This is the most recent page that I colored, and I really, really like how it turned out with the shading, with the highlighting. I think it turned out really nice. But this one is actually my favorite page that I colored in this book, and it's the last one that I have to show you today. I just really like how the watercolor made the background look really watery. I think it fits the theme of this book really well. And hopefully I will be able to color more in this book soon. Next up is Sweet and Simple Whimsy Girls by Hannah Lynn. I've colored quite a few pages in this book as well since I got it for my birthday in February. I colored this one, which was my first attempt at coloring darker skin tone. I definitely need to keep working on it, but I think for a first attempt it wasn't too bad. This page I colored recently in April, so you can see it in my completed pages for April as well. I will link that up in the cards and also down in the description box. one I colored back in March, and again, I've been experimenting with doing more like deeper, darker shading, which you can see in this one, and also the page that I just showed you I completed in April. I have a whip in this book as well, but it's a body color too, so I won't show you that one. But this is the last completed page I have in this book, and it was also the first page that I colored back when I got this book. I particularly like how her eyes turn out. I don't know if you can see it, but I put quite a few different colors in there. But I definitely still need to work more on the shading when I do these kind of portraits. Next up is Small Victories by Johanna Basford, another book that you could see in my April completed pages video when I did this page. I've also completed a few other pages in this book. I did this one back in February for Valentine's Day. I really like how the white lines turned out on this kind of watercolory style background. This page was the very first page that I colored in this book. It was back in November, so when I had just started coloring, and I think it was the first time I experimented with trying to put in some shading, so you can see it back here and also behind here. And for a first attempt, I think it's really good. And this is my final completed page in this book. It was a body color. I tried to keep the butterfly monochrome and also tried to use some glitter gel pen over some of the lines. Don't know if you can see the sparkle there. But then I thought the page needed some kind of background, so I put in this teal colored watercolor just to make it pop a little bit. Unfortunately, it did bleed through to the next page quite badly, but I hope I can fix it when I come around to coloring that page. I also have this page in this book, which I started coloring. I just decided I want to color one of these little bouquets of flowers kind of in between my other coloring when I need just a little palette cleanser. I'm not really counting it as a work in progress because I have completed this whole little bouquet, but I would like to complete all of these little floral bouquets soon. Next up is my Nerisa Dirge Africa by Rita Berman. She's one of my favorite illustrators. I really like her illustration style, and I also really like her coloring style as well. If you follow her over on Instagram, her colored pages are also really beautiful. So I colored these two pages, which you will have seen on my channel already because this was in my April completed pages video. This was the very first page that I colored in this book. Again, back in November when I had only just started coloring. I really like how I managed to get this faded out effect with these pastels around here. And I really like how this green butterfly turned out. I'm not sure why, but that one is definitely my favorite. The last completed page I have in this book is this one. I found this page really difficult to get started with because choosing a color scheme was really challenging to me. I don't really feel like the background fits in that well, but I love how the chameleon turned out. I also put some sparkly gel pen on him as well. That was the last page in this book. Next up, I have my Lulu Mayo books. She's one of the few illustrators that I own more than one book from. I have A Million Unicorns, A Million Sea Creatures, and A Million Mermaids. And the one I colored the least in out of these ones is definitely A Million Mermaids. I really like this book. I guess I prefer the pages in the other ones more. This is probably one of my favorite pages that I've ever colored though. I colored it back in December, and when I saw these little flowers up here, I immediately thought they look exactly like lamps. So I went ahead and colored them like lamps and also added in the glow that they were making on these other objects around. And I'm just really, really proud of how this one turned out. I have another completed page in this book, but it's a page for May, so you'll have to keep an eye out for my May completed pages video to see that one. Next up is A Million Sea Creatures. I really like coloring under the sea things. which you will probably be able to see when you see the rest of my collection. So this was the first page that I colored in this book, I think. It was from back in November. I really like the gradient on her tail here. Then I colored this one also back in November, and according to the date I've written down here, it was actually just a day after I completed the other one. There is one more completed page in this book somewhere. Oh yes, here it is. I colored this one in January. I really like these cute little penguins and how the candy canes turned out. And I really wanted it to be super colorful. So I used my chalk pastels to do this background. They didn't blend like really well. But of course, these colors aren't necessarily colors that you would think should blend well together. I really like though how it turned out, like just an explosion of colors. That was the last page from this book. And then my most colored in Lulu Mayo books, and one of the most colored in books in my collection, A Million Unicorns. Now, one thing I really don't like about this book is that it's a little bit bigger than the other ones, as you can see. I got the Russian printed version of this book because where me and my husband live right now, these are a lot cheaper to get a hold of than the English printed versions. I actually prefer the paper in this one, but I would have preferred if they were the same size. So I colored this page in November. I really like how these two unicorns came out, but I kind of wish I hadn't used pink for these two unicorns because they just blend into the background too much. This was my first page that I ever colored, and I'm still so pleased with how it turned out. I'm very proud of it. For my very first page ever, I think it's really beautiful. And I also like how I took the time to go over all of these little white dots with gel pen. Then I did this double page spread. And again, I really quite like how bright it is. It was my first time trying out water medium in this book. I think I used my Inktense, and the paper buckled quite a bit, but it didn't peel or anything like that, so it took it quite well. Then I colored this page, and as you can see, these buildings are all from London. It reminded me of the time that I used to live in London, which was quite a few years ago now. But I kind of wanted to just get across how the buildings are kind of grey and dull, but then the unicorns and the rainbow up here is so bright, as well as the sun peeking out from behind those grey clouds. And my last page that I colored in this book is this cute little kitty sitting on this cloud. This was my first time experimenting with using different colors in my clouds. And again, I quite like how they turned out, although I feel like I've gotten better at doing it now. But for a first attempt, I think it was pretty good. And that's the last page I colored in this book. Next up is Tales from Atlantis by Hannah Carlson. This is another one of my favorite books in my collection because, as I mentioned, I really love coloring under the sea themed pages. I've only done one page in this book so far, and it is this one here. I used my Inktense for the background, and then I went over it with an iridescent watercolor, which created this nice purpley sheen. I love the paper in this book, how it takes the water, how my colors blend on it. I think it's really beautiful, and I'm very excited to color more in this book. Next up I have Moon Valley by Maria Trolle. This is another book that I colored quite a lot in, and I also chose it to be kind of like a project book for the first half of this year, trying to complete at least one page in it per month, because I really love this book and I would like to see it fill up a little bit more. So let's go through and see what I have colored in it so far. I colored this little guy, isn't he so cute? I colored this page back in March when I was traveling. I actually colored most of this in my hotel room or whilst I was on the road. I have a whip in this book, but it's a body color, so I'm going to skip over that one. This page was also a buddy color, and it was my first time attempting kind of a bokeh effect background. I like how it turned out, but I think if I was to do it again, I would use a slightly darker color just so you could see these little dots that I erased a little bit better, because they kind of blend in with the light soft tones of the background. This page you can also see in my April's completed pages video. I colored them to be like me and my husband because my original idea was to finish this before our wedding anniversary in February, but as you could probably guess from the fact that it was in my April's completed pages video, that didn't happen. I really like how her hair turned out. This was the first ever page that I colored in this book back in November. I tried to do like a sunset background. And I think I managed to blend the colors pretty well, especially again considering that this was within my first month of coloring. I like how these flowers turned out down here. Next I completed this page, and this was another buddy color. It was my first time attempting to draw fur, so you can kind of see there's some differences throughout this kitty. He's not 100% consistent. Like you can see here, his fur looks a bit thicker, here it looks a bit thinner, but overall I'm quite happy with how it turned out, and I definitely learned a lot doing this page. I've got just one more page in this book, and it's this one. This was the first page that I colored this year, back in January, and I'm really pleased with how I managed to do this glow on these different objects around here, the leaves, the flowers, even the dragon down here. I think this is probably, again, one of my favorite pages that I ever colored. Next up, I have my two Morgan O'Brien books. I have Any Day and Matchstick Mouse, a floral coloring book. In Any Day, I only colored one page, and it was this one. Again, you can see it in my April's completed pages video. I really like how the shading turned out on this one and how it just turned out so bright and fun. It was my favorite one of my April pages. Then in Matchstick Mouse, a floral coloring book, I have colored quite a few more pages. I colored this one where Matchstick is sitting on this little sunflower with this cute little bee. This page I colored back in December, and I think it was my second page in this book because I think I did this one first. Yes, because I colored this one in November. So this was my very first time trying alcohol markers, and as you can see, I did get a little bit of streaking in some places. But again, I learned a lot from doing this page, and I'm happy with how cute this little chick turned out. Next, I did this page with Matchstick sleeping on this little flower, and I kind of pictured it as a sunrise because, you know, she's still sleeping, so I tried to get a gradient effect in the sky. Again, it was my first time attempting a gradient effect with my alcohol markers, so it's not perfect, definitely. But I like how this pink blended into this yellow, for example, down here. I colored this back in February because February is my birthday month, so I really wanted to color this cute little cake. And then I colored these tulips back in March. Tulips to me are just a sign of spring, and I wanted to color them while it was still quite cold and chilly outside, and I was dreaming about spring coming. And that was the last page I had from that book. Next up is another new book in my collection. It's Amazingly Adorable Characters Collection, coloring book number 9 by Daria Chakusoy. I really like her illustration style and also really like the grayscale in her books. I think she's one of my new favorite illustrators, and I did color a page in this for Mermaid, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. Again, if you want to hear more about how I colored this page, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my May completed pages video. Next up is another grayscale portrait book. It's this Wildflower Folk by Christine Karen. This was my first ever grayscale book, and this was the first picture that I colored in it. I was really intimidated trying to color the grayscale, but I really like how it turned out. And from when I first started this page, I thought, wow, grayscale is definitely not as scary as I thought it was. Next, I did this page. And I tried to use alcohol markers to base her skin, but I accidentally chose the wrong one. So as you can see from the back here, her skin turned out extremely pink, which I think I did an okay job at correcting it and trying to make it look a bit less pink, but you can definitely still tell that her face is a little bit too pink. And the last page I colored in this book was this one. I colored it back in February. I tried to use kind of a softer, more pastel-y color palette for this one, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Next up is my second Kirby book. This one is Worlds Within Worlds, and it is another Russian printed copy because, again, they're just a lot cheaper to get a hold of here where we live. I don't think I properly read the description of this one because when it turned up, you can see it's quite a bit smaller than my Alien Worlds coloring book. I wouldn't usually mind, but because Kirby's illustrations are quite detailed, I think I would have preferred to have it in the full size. I only colored one page in this book so far, and it's this one with the apple tree. Again, I found his artwork quite intimidating at first. Once I actually started coloring this apple tree, it was definitely less scary than I thought it was going to be, and I'm excited to color another page in this book soon as well. So next up I have Mermaid Legends by Anastasia Koldyeva. Again, I really like coloring under the sea pictures and mermaids and fish. And I think her illustrations are just so beautiful because, again, her fish are just so realistic and you can really tell kind of which fish they are supposed to be. Like you can see that this is a clown triggerfish, for example. You've got a surgeonfish back here. So I really, really like her illustration style too. I've only colored one page in this book, and it was this one. It was my first time trying to color more of like a realistic style portrait with realistic hair, and it took me forever. But I'm really pleased again with how it turned out, and I think although I definitely needed a little bit of a break before I attempted another picture with this much hair, I think I learned a lot doing it, and I'm very pleased with the outcome. Next I have Oceans to Stars by Lydia Fenwick, and again, this is another beautiful book. I love her illustration style. So many gorgeous pages, and I'm really excited to color more in it because so far I've only colored one page, and it was this title page here. Again, I colored it in April, so you can see me talk more about it in my April completed pages video. But I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Another book that featured in my April completed pages was this one, Symphony of Cute Animals by Kanoko Egusa. Again, I've only colored one page, and it was this one. I'm really pleased with how these little frogs turned out. They're just super cute. And I tried to do a more realistic style of coloring on some of the elements here. So again, really pleased with how it turned out. Next up, we have Romantic Country, the first tale. I bought this one before I bought the third tale because this was the one that I could get a hold of here. And I also really like this one as well. I love airy style, as I mentioned before. I colored quite a few pages in this one. So first up is this Christmas tree page that I colored for Christmas. I'm not exactly sure what I wanted to do with this background, but I'm not really pleased with how it turned out. I feel like it just didn't go with the vibe that I was trying to go for this page. But the rest of it is okay. I like how her hair and her dress turned out. Next is the Easter egg collection. Again, I like how bright it is. And this was a buddy color as well. Then I did this double page spread for the chapter 3 introduction pages. I'm still a little bit intimidated to do double page spreads, but I chose to do this one because it didn't have a whole lot of things over here on this page. So I thought it's not quite as scary as some of the other ones. I really like the shading on these little swans down here. And I've got one more page in this book somewhere. Ah yes, here it is. This was my first page that I colored in this book. I chose this one because I thought, you know, the trees and things are not quite as scary as trying to color the people or the animals. But as I was getting about halfway through this page, I was so over coloring all the trees. And I started to find them really, really boring. But I'm quite pleased with how it turned out in the end. I particularly like these little flowers down here. I think they turned out really beautiful. So, yeah. That was the last one of my books. Leave me a comment down below to let me know if you have any of these books and which book is your favorite book in your collection. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to catch more videos from me. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!